Masters, welcome to amazing COT session today. Today, we're going to join Baxter Ken, DTM, past district president, who's going to share the in and outs of being an area director. Baxter joined Toastmasters in June of 2009 to improve his presentation skills. What he discovered is the leadership aspects of Toastmasters. In July 2012, Baxter became the area governor for 62, and in 2016 Baxter stepped in to area director 61 role, and he has held many positions, and area 61 was a distinguished area between 2016 and 2021. He has held various leadership roles, and now Baxter is also area director of area 33. I would like to invite Baxter to take over, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Division C Director, and welcome everybody. Let me tell you, area director is one of the favorite roles that I've ever held throughout my entire Toastmaster career. And I just happened to look at it the other day. I've been a Toastmaster for 12 years, 8 months, but I'm not counting. So let's get into it. I don't know if any of you have ever seen this presentation before, this organizational chart, if you will, but it's got its head turned upside down. You'll notice that the members are on top and world headquarters are on the bottom. And the reason for that is all of the leadership roles below member is to support our membership. Members are the heart and foundation of Toastmasters International, and this represents that. It represents each service level in support of the member. And we're going to take a look at this one right here, the area director. There are a number of reasons for it, but the organization and purpose is what we're going to talk about today. So areas are composed of anywhere from 4 to 6 clubs, and it's created based on the district alignment committee at the end of every year. Now, what the district alignment committee does is they take a look at where are all our clubs, because they might not be in the best area possible for where they're physically located. And I say physically because, as you all know, we've been meeting virtually for the last 2 years. But what the alignment committee does is they take a look and say, okay, you know, this club really belongs with Division C because it's in the downtown Seattle area, even though it may have been put in Division F, which is Far East Side. Once the alignment committee has moved things around so that they fit better, then it gets put in front of the district council. And the district council is made up of all the area directors, all the division directors, all the district leaders, and club presidents and vice presidents. And they approve it at the business meeting. Now, area assignments for new clubs are kind of determined based on who created the club, who is mentoring the club, and where the district director says, yep, that's where we're going to put it. And it's that way until the alignment committee realigns the district at the end of the year. Now, the purpose of an area is really and the purpose of an area director is really to make sure that each club is supported, that they know their responsibilities to the member, promoting and extending the benefits of membership through the Toastmasters program. Area directors help guide new clubs, and they facilitate the club officer trainings for those new clubs. Now, in District 2, we tend to have our area directors also be involved in doing club officer training. So they do facilitate club officer training even outside of new clubs. as an area director, we also encourage clubs to undertake efforts that create a greater community about getting Toastmasters out there in the world at large, so that we get more people coming into our clubs. And as it's coming up pretty soon, we also help facilitate the contests. And area councils. Now, I don't know how many of you have ever participated in an area council, but the area council consists of an area director, an assistant area director program quality, and an assistant area director club growth. Both of those two positions are optional. An area secretary, which is also optional, and then club presidents, club vice presidents of education, and club vice presidents membership. All of those leaders comprise the area council. And you might think about, why would we take all of those? Well, club presidents lead their clubs, and the vice president of education and vice president membership are what brings those members into the clubs and help them stay and work through the Toastmaster program. Coming together as an area council, we talk about what we can do to help the clubs and our members in that area. It takes the bigger district and distills it down to just a few clubs so that it's easier to help facilitate that coaching. Now, the area council should meet roughly twice a year. More often is better, especially in areas where there are few clubs or clubs that are struggling. And because we're in this situation where we've got hybrid meetings anyway, those council meetings can be conducted in person or online. And the area director is the one that chairs those meetings. Now, there's a lot of things about the area director role that I'm sure you didn't know, because I didn't know about them before I became an area director. The area director serves as the direct link between the district and the clubs. If a club is struggling with some item, whether it's building membership, getting the program out there, or even handling member dissatisfaction, the area director is who they should go to. How many of you know who your area director is for your clubs? If you don't know, then that area director hasn't visited. Now, area directors are either appointed by the district director or elected by the area council. In District 2, we typically have the district director appoint area directors. Some districts actually hold elections. Now, I mentioned that if you don't know who your area director is, then they haven't visited. Well, area directors need to visit clubs at least twice a year so that they can get an understanding of where their clubs sit and how they can support the club. I personally believe that this is the most fun part of being an area director, because you get to go visit clubs you might not ordinarily get to visit, and you meet a whole bunch of new people. Now, I like to tell the story that every time I went on vacation, I would look up the city that I'm going to and find at least one Toastmaster club to visit. Why would I do that? Because it's fun meeting new people and seeing how other clubs create their meetings and interact with each other. Being an area director, that's kind of your responsibility to do anyway. It's also a way to see what service your club needs from you in order to become successful. And the success of the district depends on you knowing that and helping those clubs become successful themselves. Now, area directors can't be area directors in perpetuity, right? That's like every other role that we've got out there that are in the top leadership positions. They're eligible for re-election for one succeeding term only. Now, you might have heard in my introduction that I've been an area director now for 3 times, but it hasn't been successive. And every time I've gone back and done a leadership role in any level, I've learned something new. And this year is no exception. Now, here are some of the responsibilities. First, I know all of you have had your officer elections in your clubs and figured out how to install your officers. Maybe. Did you know there's an installation process? Well, the club officer installation is one function that the area director is best suited to do. Why? Because it introduces the area director to the club for the very first time. The area director is the district team member that can step in and say, look, these are your roles. This is why it's important that you've taken on those roles. And now I am saying you're in those roles. The division director or the past president of the club can do it. And so can any other members of esteem that the club decides wants to do it, can do it. But it's the area director that is probably the best. Now, an area director's responsibility is to guide the club. As an area director, you're responsible for leading the area by serving the needs of each club and their members. And again, in order to understand what your clubs need, it's important to be in constant contact with them. It's also a way for you to help guide those clubs to see where they're excelling in the club, the distinguished club program, and where they might need a little additional coaching. The other thing is in the area council. The area director is the council chair. I mentioned again that there were 2 meetings a year for the area council. And at these area council meetings, the area director discusses each club's plans and helps guide them through creating the plans and setting the goals for their clubs. But it's also a time to facilitate interaction between clubs in your areas. And in correspondence with the district council's decision that whatever the district is doing, the area director is communicating that to their clubs. For example, what contests are we holding this year? What incentives are happening? The area director should be initiating those conversations with the various clubs in their area. Area director club visits. Now, I mentioned this already. In my area, Area 33, which is downtown Seattle, technically on the books, I have 5 clubs. 1 club is currently suspended, 1 club is not meeting, and 3 clubs have very few attendance and few members. I visited the 4 clubs that have members. And what I found is that even though they are small in nature, they are still working the Toastmaster program. And I was pleased to be able to give them feedback on their meetings that said, hey, you know, you're doing great. The meetings are super informative. They're super engaging. And yeah, you might have few, but you can get there. Everybody is struggling a little bit, but that's okay. With the area director's club visit, we're also required to submit a report. And that report goes not only to Toastmasters International, it goes to the district trio, the district director, club growth, and program quality directors, as well as the president and vice president education of the club that the area director has visited. Now, if you've heard about the moments of truth, or even looked at the club success plan, The area director's report mimics that. It talks about the same thing. How are you going to create an inviting environment? How are you going to generate membership growth? What are your goals in the club program, the Club Distinguished program? All of that is part of the club area director's club visit report that gets submitted. And it can be very informative. The area director also participates in training provided by the district. The area director regularly reports to the division director about what's going on with the clubs and how the area is progressing in their goals. And in the distinguished programs. Now, I mentioned the distinguished club program, but there's also a distinguished area program, as well as a distinguished division and distinguished district program. Each of those have goals that must be met in order for an area or division to become a distinguished area. An area speech contests. Like I said, contest season is coming up really quickly. Club contests start in February. Area contests happen in March. Are you ready? If you're not, reach out to your area director and find out what's going on, how they can assist you in coaching you to put together your club contests. Now, there are some competencies that go along with being an area director. Hopefully you can see this, and I'm so glad we're online because it's a lot easier to see this particular slide than it would be if we were in person. But there are a lot of skills that you can learn by being an area director, skills that you can take from within Toastmasters out into your world and community. Some of the skills are motivating people, coaching and mentoring, analytical skills. Some of those you might even think, oh, I learned that in my club. You do, but they get amped up a little bit more when you become an area director. Some of the characteristics are having some empathy and sincerity and really being honest in your feedback to clubs. Now, being honest doesn't mean you tear them down when they're not doing well. It's knowing how to give that feedback and have it be constructive. And a lot of the attributes come from being a Toastmaster leader and taking all those skills that you learn from being an area director out into the world. Now, I mentioned the Distinguished Club program and that there is a Distinguished Area program for recognition. And here is what is part of the area program. Now, if you've got at least 3 clubs, you're automatically a contender, but that doesn't mean you automatically qualify. In order to qualify to be a distinguished area, you have to have a 0 net loss of clubs. That means even if you lose a club, as long as you add a club, that's a 0 net loss. And areas must submit their area directors' visit reports for 2 times out of the year. Now, the program builds on club success and complements the goals that the division and district set to earn the Distinguished Recognition Awards. Areas might receive a Distinguished, Select Distinguished, or President's Distinguished by meeting these specific goals, and all the goals are calculated using the area's club base. So distinguished. To be a distinguished area, you must have at least a number of distinguished clubs equal to at least 50% of the area's club base. And what does that mean? If an area has 4 clubs, at least 2 of them must be a distinguished club for the area to be a distinguished club, in addition to having a net loss of clubs. To be a select distinguished area, it's having the same distinguished club number plus 1 more. So again, if you have 4 clubs in your area, you have to have at least 2 that are distinguished, plus a 3rd one that becomes distinguished, plus the base recognition. And then President's Distinguished. This is one more distinguished club over the select distinguished, plus a net growth of one club. So that means if you start out with a base of 4 clubs and you lose one, but gain one, then you need to gain one more so that you end up with 5 by the end of the year. Now I want to talk a little bit about my own experience to being an area director. The first year that I was an area director, I actually was lucky enough to be the area director of my home club. So that made it a little bit more comfortable. And it made it a little bit more comfortable because my mentor in that club actually had been in district leadership for quite a while, and he was coaching me. So it made it feel comfortable. Plus, I knew a number of the other clubs in my area. The second time I was area director, I actually had to step in for one of my mentees who had to leave Toastmasters altogether for a personal reason. Now, I didn't have to step in, but I talked to the area director and I said, you know what? Here's what's happening. I'm willing to step in. If you recall, when you signed your membership application, it's being willing to step into a leadership role when you're called upon. And I take that to heart. This year, I hadn't planned on being a leader in the district. I had planned on being the starburst editor, being a member in the clubs that I belong to, not even an officer in those clubs. And if you talk to members in those clubs, you will know that I'm an officer in almost every club that I belong to now. And I had told Heather, if she couldn't find an area director, I'm willing to step in and fulfill that role. And that's what happened. She was down to one last area that needed an area director. And as hard as she tried, she just couldn't find anybody. And I said, I'm willing to do it. I love the area director role because that is the role that really gets you touching the clubs in our district. It also is a role that allows you to practice coaching, mentoring, giving feedback, communicating, being a presenter, all of the things we join Toastmasters for. And now I would like to open it up for questions. Please do not be shy.
Baxter, can I say something real quick?
Absolutely.
So I just want to, the whole area director story thing. My area director story was I was asked to be an area director for an area outside of my home club. And I hadn't even thought about it before. Like, what is this? I was fairly new in Toastmasters. And I said, sure, I'll do it. It was the best thing I ever did. I absolutely loved it. I mean, all I knew was this one club and its culture. And when I became an area director, I got to visit these other clubs and learn their culture. And I learned so much. But I learned so much that I thought, well, when, the year is just about over, I want to do this again. So I became an area director a second time for the area that my home club was in. And I learned even more and I had the hang of it. And it was just a really cool experience. This whole journey through Toastmasters leadership, as busy as I am, and I am really busy. I run a nonprofit. So if you know anything about nonprofits, it's a busy, but just the cool things you learn, the people you meet. I've met so many wonderful people through this journey. It's so worth doing, and I highly recommend it. But I just wanted to give my 2 cents on that.
Awesome. Any questions from folks that have never been an area director and are just interested in what this role is really all about?
Question from Greg. Is it typical or atypical for an AD to be in the club where it contains your club?
It's in the past, what I've witnessed is that the district director tries to put a person from within the clubs in an area as the area director. It's not always the case. When we have a plethora of people vying to be an area director, it's pretty easy to do. I have no clubs that I belong to that are in Area 33, which is the area I'm a director over this year. So it's kind of an anomaly, but we try to put somebody from at least one club in that area. And the reason for that is because then they know the area already, right? Hopefully everybody is stepping outside of their comfort zone and visiting at least the clubs around them so that they're familiar with the people there. But if not, it's a Toastmaster club is a Toastmaster club. And hopefully they're running it very similar to the Toastmaster program so that stepping into a club, you know what to expect and you feel welcomed. But it's not always typical, but we try to do that. And I don't know if that's a District 2 thing or if that's something that's worldwide. This is just my experience within District 2. Any other questions? I have a question for you all. How many of you are excited to be an area director? Gregory, I see you waving. Does that mean you're currently an area director or you want to be an area director?
I'd like to step into one.
Excellent, excellent. You know, a great way to do it is to tap your current area director and say, hey, can I tag along with you for a little bit and see what you do? That would be a great way to do it. Heather, I saw you had your thumbs up. That's great. I'd love to see people being willing to step into those roles. Denise, I know you've been an area director. Yes, I'm calling folks out. Roxanne? The Node, I know you've been an area director. Roxanne, you've been an area director twice? Excellent, excellent. Marty, am I wrong? Are you an area director now?
You are not wrong. I am.
Perfect. Anybody else? Mosen, I see your hand is raised.
Yes, and you ask anybody else, I would be interested. I'm currently a club president.
Excellent. Excellent. That is the very natural next step, is once you've become a club president, the next step is to become an area director, provided you know you're wanting to build your leadership skills. So I'm going to make this one plug. If you're not currently an area director and you want to be an area director next year, reach out to Tina. She's going to be looking for area directors next year. Any other
There's
questions?
one more question. Roxanne has problem getting started with the area council. They have 4 early morning clubs and 1 noon corporate club. Any suggestions?
Sure, I would put it out there that what you're trying to do with the area council is that you're trying to generate a, what's the word I want? A cooperative sharing of ideas amongst the clubs. Because I'll tell you, last year, when I did the Moments of Truth program, I visited 16 clubs and every club had the same issue. They had small membership and they had low attendance and they all blamed it on COVID, but that was not the case. So if you formulate the email that you send out to your clubs, that building the club council is really about connecting clubs together to share ideas about how they can expand their membership, how they can support their members in any way possible. Hopefully that would help bring them more into being willing to do an area council meeting. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to meet at their club times. So if the issue is that they're all early morning clubs, perhaps they'd be happy to meet in the evening so that they didn't have to get up as early as their club meetings. Yes, ma'am.
What I found is that the area that I took over has not had a good, strong area director in the past. And the clubs are very isolated. They do not really, they're almost afraid to interact with each other. And I go in and I visit, and finally they're accepting me. But I'm wondering, since I'm having trouble getting a council together, using emails might be a way to let them know what's happening on the district level. I did find two clubs
Absolutely.
actually did send members in for the TLI training,
Great,
Yeah.
great.
which was,
Yeah.
yes.
So one of the things that I had found in the past, and what a lot of area directors find, is there's some resistance to having the area director come visit. And it's
Mhm.
because clubs tend to think that because we're the liaison with the district, that we're going to be critical of the way they run their meetings. And really, that's not what we're there for. It's not to tell clubs that they're doing something the wrong way. It's not to get clubs into trouble. It's really for us to be there to support them on how to build their clubs, how to build membership, how to make sure that they're really supporting their members. And if we get that message out to the clubs, however we get it out there, whether it's an email or getting a meeting together, that's the message that we have to share, is that area directors are really there to support the clubs and their members. You know what you might try, Roxanne? Is you might try just a meeting with you and the club presidents. Just that small little group, to bring them together to start talking. And you might facilitate the meeting by saying, hey, we've all had some issues in the last couple of years growing our clubs. What have you found works for you? And let's start sharing in our area. That might be a way to approach it. Any other questions, comments? Alrighty then, I'm gonna go to my next slide, which is really the last slide. The last slide is all of the resources. Now you're saying, but how do I get these? Well, we're gonna share this presentation with you so that you have the links to get to all of these different resources. The one that I would recommend most is the first one, Serving Clubs Through Visits, as well as the, where did it go? Oh, you know what? I think I missed putting it in here. The District Leadership Handbook. I thought there was a link to that in here. The District Leadership Handbook really explains at a detail level what the area director is, as well as the subsequent leadership roles throughout the district, so that you can actually plan your Toastmaster career out of how you want to get to where you want to be in learning the skills that you want to have and take out into the world.
Let me share that.
Again, members are the heart and foundation of Toastmasters International, and area directors are the link between our members and clubs and our district and international. It's the funnest, okay, that's not grammatically correct. I'm glad we have no grammarian, but it's the funnest role I've ever had. And I really love doing it. I hope you will take up the mantle and step into an area director role when you have that opportunity. Back to you, Mr. Division C Director.
Thank you, Baxter. It was an amazing presentation. Just to give my personal story, I wanted to become an area director because that was one of the requirements to get my DTM. And luckily for me, Baxter did give me the best area, which was Area 66, which had a lot of corporate clubs. I was lucky to get most of the clubs visits, and most of the clubs were indigenously working, and every club was select distinguished that year And for all the questions that you folks were asking, you can ask the clubs to visit each other as guests, or during the contests, you could get folks as judges or doing roles. So they would start interacting. So somehow there'll be a synergy between the clubs and the areas. Thanks for an awesome presentation. I'm going to put a survey link in the chat. I would really appreciate if you could fill up the survey and give us feedback. We definitely go through the survey to make the trainings like this better. I would like to hand off the meeting to the district leadership for if there are any announcements.
Thank you so much, Vera. What a great presentation, Baxter. Thank you so much for putting this on. I hope this was helpful to all of you current area directors and all of you that are considering being area directors. It really, really, really is a fun role. So I hope that you can do it if you haven't or aren't already. We have a leadership track that is just phenomenal, and I'm really excited about it. My couple of announcements is, please take this back to your clubs when you're doing announcements for your clubs. Our leaders breakfast is coming up on February 5th. We have a great lineup of speakers. We have Lee Amantangelo. If you've not heard him speak, he tells a great story about history and ties it into leadership. It should be phenomenal. We also have Roddy Spear. She's one of our current board of Toastmasters International board. And I'm so excited that she's going to join us for the Leaders Breakfast. And we also do have Lance, oh, I'm forgetting his last name, but he is a
Miller?
past world champion. What was that?
Lance Miller.
Yes, Lance Miller, past world champion of public speaking. And so he should give a phenomenal speech and lots more. So Leaders Breakfast, February 5th, starting at 9 a.m. It's on the D2TM calendar. Please register for that. Spread the word to your clubs. And also our district conference, which starts on May 14th with our business meeting and goes all the way to May 22nd. So we'll have training sessions throughout the week. We'll have our keynote speakers on Saturday, the 21st. And then we will have our district contest on Sunday, May 22nd. So please join us for that. Watch for the announcements. The very exciting news is that we have our current reigning world champion of public speaking, Verity Price, will be speaking at our conference. So please spread the word. It's so exciting. And I hope that you will all go in and register for those two things. These are not just for club officers, although for the Leaders Breakfast, you do get credit. Your officers will get credit, but all club members, please, please tell them these are incredible events. And that is my announcements. Linda Vorthman, our club growth director, is with us today, but I don't think she's feeling too well, so she's staying off video and does not have any announcements at this time. But thank you for being here, Linda. We appreciate your support. Vera, I will return control of this meeting back to you.
Thank you, everyone. We still have time. We can do some networking or ask questions, but the presentation is officially over.
Or you can start your survey.
Yeah, I have send a link to the survey. Please feel free to finish that. If the meeting gets closed, the link would be gone. So please make a copy or click the link so you would get the thing opened in a browser. I would really appreciate you give us some feedback so we can know what questions you have, or if you have any question whatsoever, please feel free to post it in the chat. We have some time. We would definitely go through that and give you some valuable information. Thank you. So how many of you are in the cusp of getting your DTMs? So doing an area director or area role is one of the things. You could be a club coach or club mentor, because these are the things that would get you closer to getting a DTM. So if you are closer to that, and if you want to like take up a district role, area director is comparatively smaller role to start with. You would be interacting with 4 to 5 clubs, and you can grow to become a division director or a district leader. And it's an amazing experience. I've learned a lot being in the area role or the division role.
And if you're interested in, and you're not currently an area director and you're interested in being an area director, drop your email into the chat, and I can forward your information on to the people that are working on that, to say that you're interested. So just drop your email in the chat and we'll get you connected. And Mohsen, I have you on my radar already. Drop me a line.
Roxanne, did you have a question, comment?
I was going to make a comment. We were just talking about DTM. Now, I'm from District 32, but I'm finding that there's an awful lot of training that you people, that District 2 puts out that I think is absolutely fantastic. And that's why I decided to join you. You were talking about becoming a DTM and being an area director. Something to consider in the future, in the very near future, that if you find a club that you are an area director for, consider becoming a coach. That is one of the requirements for DTM. And since you already know them, they may say, yes, would you come? Because we enjoyed you when you came as an area director. So that's something else.
I thought you were saying to do that simultaneously, and I was going to say you can't do it simultaneously, but I see what you're saying now.
Yes,
Absolutely.
because each one is only a year long, and DTM isn't necessarily done in 2 years. So, but yes, by all means, consider something in the future, or if you find a club that, you know, through your networking, that would really be different or be of a great help, that would really work well too. I have one club that's in my area that is so different than anything that I've seen, in that they are a presenters club. And they do not necessarily follow all of the parts of Toastmasters clubs with meetings with the table topics, but they are very heavy on presentations and on evaluations, and a valuable club. It's one that a person could visit and they say, well, they're not following everything that Toastmasters says. But with the evaluations, because you get more than one evaluation, it is a way of helping presenters and also persons that are interested in speeches and competition to get a lot more feedback. That's not an advanced club. So just something different.
Absolutely. And we've had folks from District 32 and District 9, I think it is, come to our training sessions all the time. So I'm thank you for sharing your suggestions. That's great. This is one of the most quietest training sessions ever.
So you did go great, Baxter.
Thank you, Vinod.
Clear.
I certainly hope so, because you know, in the midst of the presentation, it doesn't always seem like it. I will offer that if anybody has any questions after we've closed out the meeting and, you have a chance to think about it. If you want to reach out to me, please feel free to do so. My email is in the Starburst. You cannot not find me. But I'm more than willing to talk with anybody about what it's like being an area director, division director, district director, any leader position. So.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome,
Yes,
Vinod. Good to see you
yeah.
again.
Yes, thank you. So you recruited me first time like area director. You find me. Thank you, Baxter.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Baxter.
Yeah,
And
thanks,
it was a great presentation. Since I'm new in the club, I'm also a mentor coordinator. I'm assisting my VP. So good to know about this role and how I can, if I want to become in the future, then I can pursue as a area director. Thank you for
Absolutely.
sharing. It
You're
was a
welcome.
great presentation.
Yes. Go Talvinder, go.
Thank you. So I will take a leave now. So good night, everyone.
Good night, Talwinder.
See you. Good night.
Good night.
Say thank you, Veera, for arranging all that.
Thank you,
Thank,
Vinod.
thank you. Thank you, Tina. So we'll
Thank you,
take leave.
Vinod. Good
Yeah,
to see you.
I'll see you
Good
soon.
night, Greg.
Good night, Greg. Good to see you.
Good night. Just leave.